You can't change toxic people, but you can control your access to them. That single shift in perspective is a game changer. Most of us waste years of our lives believing that if we just explain ourselves better, if we just try harder, if we just show enough patience, eventually the toxic person will come around. They'll suddenly wake up, realize how unfair they've been, and treat us differently. But let's be real, that never happens. A toxic person thrives on the very behavior that leaves you exhausted. They're not interested in understanding you. They're interested in keeping the power dynamic exactly as it is. The more you try to win their approval, the more control they gain over your time, your emotions, and your energy. Here's the harsh truth. You could stand on your head, sing the national anthem, and juggle fire at the same time, and a toxic person would still find a way to criticize you. Why? Because the problem isn't you. The problem is that their patterns run deep, and they are invested in staying the way they are. If you keep holding on to the hope that they'll change, you're giving them the keys to your peace of mind. That's why the smartest move is not to focus on changing them at all. It's to focus on controlling your access to them. Think about it this way. If you discover that a certain food makes you sick every time you eat it, what do? You stop eating it. You don't spend years trying to figure out how to make your stomach like it. You don't keep forcing it down hoping that one day it will magically agree with you. You just remove it from your diet. That's how you need to treat toxic people. If someone repeatedly leaves you drained, second, guessing yourself, or feeling small, you don't need to keep inviting them to the table. You can step back. You can limit the amount of access they get to your time and your mind. This doesn't mean you have to make a dramatic announcement or cut ties in a storm of anger. Sometimes it's as subtle as answering fewer texts. Sometimes it's as clear as excusing yourself from a conversation that's going nowhere. Sometimes it's simply choosing silence instead of engaging in their chaos. What matters is that you understand you are not powerless. You may not be able to control their behavior, but you are fully in charge of how much space they occupy in your world. The day you stop expecting them to change and start focusing on your own control is the day you take your power back. It's not about punishment. It's about protection. Protecting your energy. Protecting your focus. Protecting your peace. Because when you let go of the fantasy that toxic people will suddenly become who you wish they were, you free yourself to live without constantly being pulled into their storm. And that is the smartest way to move forward. Stop wasting energy trying to win them over. Protect your peace instead. That's a lesson most people don't learn until they've been burned too many times. When you deal with a toxic person, your natural instinct is often to prove yourself. You think, if I can just explain what I meant, if I can just show them how much I care, if I can just be more patient, they'll finally get it. But what happens? You pour your energy into long conversations, endless text messages, sleepless nights of overthinking, and in the end, nothing changes. In fact, the more you try, the more frustrated and depleted you feel. That's because you're giving them exactly what they want, your attention and your emotional investment. Toxic people thrive on pulling you into their drama. They know how to twist your words, how to push your buttons, and how to keep you tangled up in proving yourself. And every time you take the bait, you're wasting your most valuable resources, your energy, your focus, and your inner calm. Energy is a limited currency. If you're spending it all trying to win over someone who has no interest in meeting you halfway, then you've got nothing left for the people who truly value you or the goals that actually move your life forward. Protecting your peace is not weakness. It's strength. It takes strength to walk away from an argument that you know will go in circles. It takes strength to stop explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. It takes strength to choose silence when every fiber in you wants to prove your point. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've decided to care about yourself more than you care about keeping a toxic person comfortable. Imagine for a moment you're holding a cup of water. That cup is your peace of mind. Every time you argue, every time you defend yourself, every time you try to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed, you're pouring water out of that cup. Before you know it, you're empty, irritable, tired, resentful. Meanwhile, the toxic person is still full because they've drained you dry. Protecting your peace means holding onto your cup. It means saying, I don't have to pour into this anymore. I don't have to explain myself again. I don't have to give this energy that could be spent on something meaningful. And let's be honest, when you stop wasting energy on the wrong people, you start creating space for the right ones. The people who don't make you prove your worth. The people who listen without judgment. The people who bring out the best in you, not the stress in you. Your peace is too precious to be thrown away on battles that will never be won. So stop trying to win them over. Stop trying to get closure from someone who will never give it. Start protecting your peace like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because it is. Think of your energy like phone battery. Toxic people are background apps draining you. That image says it all. You start your day at 100%, fresh, charged, ready to go. But the second you let a toxic person into your space, it's like you've got an app running in the background that you didn't even open. At first, you don't notice it. But slowly, your battery percentage starts to dip. By midday, you're at 50% and you can't figure out why you're so tired or distracted. By evening, you're running on 10% and you've still got hours left in the day. That's exactly what it feels like when you allow a toxic person to keep draining you. They sap your energy without giving anything back. Here's the kicker. You don't have to engage in a full-blown argument for it to happen. Even small interactions with toxic people can drain you. A sarcastic comment, a guilt trip, an eye roll, a passive-aggressive text. Each one takes a little chunk of your energy, just like an app chewing away at your battery in the background. And if you're not paying attention, you'll reach the end of your day completely depleted without ever realizing what caused it. Now think about how you manage your actual phone battery. You close apps you're not using. You turn off notifications that don't matter. You plug in and recharge when you need to. Why don't we do the same with our personal energy? If someone consistently leaves you feeling drained, confused, or angry, that's your signal they're one of those apps running in the background. And it's time to close them out. Closing the app doesn't always mean cutting them off completely. It can mean shortening the interaction. It can mean choosing not to respond immediately. It can mean shifting the conversation to a neutral subject or walking away before it spirals. What matters is that you become aware of how much they're draining you, and you start conserving your battery for things that truly deserve it. You've only got so much energy in a day. Do you really want to hand it over to someone who doesn't respect it? Imagine what you could do with all that energy if you weren't leaking it into toxic interactions. You could invest it in your work, your passions, your relationships, your health. You could actually end the day with energy left instead of collapsing in frustration. That's the power of treating your energy like a battery. You become intentional about where it goes. And just like with your phone, when the battery runs low, you're the one who suffers. You're more irritable, less focused, less patient. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's necessary. Because when your battery is strong, you show up better for everything and everyone that matters. So the next time you feel that quiet drain after dealing with a toxic person, remember it's just a background app. Close it. Protect your battery. Save your energy for the things that fuel you instead of the things that deplete you. Boundaries are doors, not walls. You decide who gets in and how far. That one distinction changes everything. When people hear the word boundaries, they often picture cold walls, distance, or shutting people out completely. But that's not what boundaries really are. Boundaries are not about building walls so high that nobody can reach you. They're about creating doors with locks that only you control. You decide who comes in, how long they stay, and what parts of your space they're allowed to enter. That's the beauty of it. Boundaries give you control without forcing you to live in isolation. Think about your own home. You don't leave your front door wide open 24 hours a day, letting anyone wander in and do as they please. That would be ridiculous. Instead, you lock the door and you choose who you allow inside. Some people get a warm welcome and a seat at the table. Others may get to step into the living room for a short visit. And some people, they don't get in at all. That's exactly how boundaries work in your personal life. They're about creating structure so your emotional home stays safe, clean, and protected. With toxic people, boundaries are not optional. They're essential. If you let them in without limits, they will take over every room in your house. They'll move the furniture around, throw trash on the floor, and then blame you for the mess. But when you set a boundary, you make it clear. This is my space. Here's how far you can go. And if you cross the line, the door closes. Boundaries aren't for the toxic person's benefit. They're for yours. They remind you of your own worth, your own needs, and your own right to protect your peace. Now, here's the part that's tough. Toxic people hate boundaries. They'll test them. They'll push back. They'll guilt trip you and say things like, "You've changed," or "You're being selfish," or "Why are you treating me this way?" That's normal. The resistance is proof the boundary is working. Because boundaries disrupt the pattern they've been relying on. Your endless availability, your silence, your willingness to absorb their chaos. When you put up a door, you take back control. And they don't like that. But remember this: boundaries aren't acts of cruelty. They are acts of self-respect. Saying, "I won't discuss this topic with you," or "I can't take this call right now," or "I need some space," isn't mean. It's smart. It's like putting a "do not disturb" sign on your energy. People who respect you will respect your boundaries. People who don't, they'll expose themselves. And that makes your choice even clearer. Boundaries are not about shutting out the world. They're about designing your life so the right people can come closer and the wrong people can't drain you. They're doors you manage, not walls that isolate you. And the moment you start using those doors wisely, you stop feeling like a victim of other people's behavior and start feeling like the architect of your own peace. The smartest response is disengagement. Refuse to play their drama-filled game. Toxic people live for reaction. They thrive on pulling you into an emotional tug-of-war where no matter how hard you pull, they always win because the game is rigged. The moment you argue, defend yourself, or try to outwit them, you're already playing by their rules. And the truth is, you can't win a game that was designed to exhaust you. The smartest move isn't to play harder. It's to step off the playing field altogether. Think about how drama works. It starts with a spark, maybe a rude comment, a guilt trip, or a sudden explosion of anger. If you take the bait and react, the spark grows into a fire. Before you know it, you're dragged into shouting, tears, endless explanations, or that familiar pit in your stomach that comes from being misunderstood. And afterward, you're left drained, replaying the conversation in your head, wondering what you could have said differently. Meanwhile, the toxic person walks away feeling powerful because they got exactly what they wanted: your attention, your energy, your peace. Disengagement is not about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to fuel them with your energy. It's about recognizing that not every comment requires a comeback, not every insult deserves an answer, and not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the smartest thing you can say is nothing. Silence is powerful. Walking away is powerful. Choosing not to respond to a text right away is powerful. Because when you disengage, you send a clear message. I don't play this game anymore. Of course, disengaging takes practice. The urge to defend yourself is strong. The need to have the last word is tempting. But every time you resist, you build strength. Every time you hold back, you protect your peace. And the beauty of disengagement is that it doesn't just stop the drama in the moment. It breaks the cycle over time. Toxic people eventually realize that their usual tricks don't work on you anymore. Without your reaction, their drama loses its fuel. Disengagement is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing that your energy is too valuable to be wasted in battles that go nowhere. It's understanding that you don't need to win every argument to prove your worth. Your worth isn't up for debate in the first place. When you stop playing, you reclaim the power that was always yours. So the next time someone tries to drag you into their chaos, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? 99% of the time, the answer will be no. And that's when you walk away, stay calm, and let them spin in their own storm without you. Because the smartest response to toxic drama is not louder words or sharper comebacks. It's disengagement. Refuse to play and you win by default. At the end of the day, dealing with toxic people isn't about changing them, fixing them, or beating them at their own game. It's about realizing that your energy, your focus, and your peace are too valuable to hand over. You can't control who they are, but you can always control how you respond. You can limit access, protect your peace, guard your battery, set strong doors with boundaries, and refuse to play in their chaos. That's where your real power lies. The smartest way to deal with toxic people isn't to fight them. It's to rise above them. When you stop pouring your life into battles you'll never win, you free yourself to invest in the people, the goals, and the future that actually make you stronger. That's not just smart. That's freedom.